watching Let's Chat.
We have all heard about the tragic, horrible shooting down in Uvalde, Texas, which took the lives of 19 precious first, second, and third graders and 2 of their teachers as well. Put yourself in this situation. How would you react if you were one of the first responders on that particular scene and you walked in and saw that carnage? We're going to talk with Sergeant Sean O'Brien, who is one of the lead folks with our crisis intervention team here in Chattanooga. First of all, Sergeant O'Brien, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
A lot of times when the media is reporting stories of this magnitude, they tend to overlook the effect it has on the first responders. And I know you've seen a lot of horrible cases over the course of your career. What goes through the first responder's mind when they walk into a school like this and they see those young dead bodies?
Well, typically, a lot of times you try and block it out. You focus on the job at hand, what has to be done.
Right.
And it's usually afterwards, when you get away from the scene, when things start to hit.
How do they hit? How do they manifest itself?
So it can be different for different people. Obviously, officers, first responders that are parents can typically have a stronger response in a situation like this.
Right.
But it could be disrupted sleep patterns, flashbacks, all sorts of different things that could.
And one of the other things the media overlooks is the cumulative effect that situations like that have over the course of a law enforcer's career. Those things just keep adding up and adding up.
Correct. Yeah, we typically deal with the critical incident, but then you also have the cumulative effect of various calls that an officer may respond to so they both ultimately have similar impacts, and we try and address them the same way.
So far in the year 2022, we've had 215 mass shootings. 27 of those have been at schools. And it seems like this number just keeps accelerating as we head through time. You guys and ladies who are out there on the front line responding to these, that's got to just have an incredible impact on you. What happens when you guys are back at the police station or back at your precinct after something like this happens?
A lot of times the best stress relief is officers talking with other officers and kind of talking through these scenarios. It's not a question of if something will happen, it's a question of when anymore. And I've even noticed that I go out and I teach different civilian groups about how to respond to active shooter events, and demand for that has increased incredibly. So it is a very prevalent reality in our line of work today. And
you all make it a part of the daily routine, the daily training about how to deal with these mass shootings like that. It's a shame that our society as a whole has gotten to the point where you need to devote so much time and training to that. Let me ask you this. What does the Chattanooga Police Department have in place to assist those officers? And that also extends to assisting their families. And frequently, you guys have to also help out the families of some of these victims.
Yeah, so we handle it 2 different ways. So for our own officers, we participated in the Tennessee Public Safety Network, which is a 501c3 based here in the state of Tennessee. It is supported by mental health practitioners. And literally, we will do critical incident debriefings for our officers to help them understand the experiences they're having.
Right.
But then the department also has a victim services unit where we can support victims of various crimes here in town.
Can you give us a little bit more of the nuts and bolts about what the victim services unit does?
So our folks that handle the victim services will sit down with folks, trying to understand what impacts they have experienced from the incident.
Right.
And then try and pair them up with what they need. And that could be financial, it could be mental health care, it could be any sort of things, it could be housing, it just depends on what that particular need is for that victim.
There are so many things that the Victim Services Unit does, and guys and ladies like Sergeant O'Brien, follow-up support, advocacy, safety planning, criminal justice support when it gets to that end of the spectrum, court accompaniment, and pretty much everything in between. Again, Sergeant Sean O'Brien, thank you so much for your service and everything you do. Stay safe. They are a 501c3. If you'd like to make a contribution to the Tennessee Public Safety Network, you can do so. Check out this website. We'll be right back.